we're at the point now where we've got our sides and our front cut to the length. We made sure that our front and back, which are our two longer pieces, are exactly the same length, and our two sides are exactly the same length. And so now you have to imagine that it's going to fit together in this shape. Some of the common mistakes that people make is that they put the pocket holes to attach this on this piece rather than the two sides. You don't want it on the front and the back, you want to put the holes on the sides. So we bring this over to our pocket hole jig, and this red one is for 1/2 inch wood only. It's set up that way, so we never change this. And we use the red drill bit because it's set up for 1/2 inch wood also. So when we do this, we want the holes, we want the screws to be on the outside, so we want to make sure that you turn this so that the dado that we've cut is facing away from you, and then put it in our jig, lock it into place, again making sure that it's not crooked just like you did on your face frame. Make sure that you don't put a hole in line with your dado. So two holes on each side, about 3/4 of an inch down and 3/4 of an inch, maybe 1/2 inch up from your dado are just plenty. So I just line that up where I want it. And when you do this, you want to make sure that you go down about halfway, pull it out so all the wood chips come out, and then finish it off. Okay? You don't, with this Kreg jig, this stop, if you grind it on that metal too long, it'll start to wear away on this metal, and this will end up drilling too deep. So make sure as soon as you hit that metal, you pull it out and you don't go any further. So I've got one hole there. I want to slide this over, do the other hole, and again I said about 3/4 of an inch. This doesn't have to be precise. Then you want to flip it over and do the other side. Now I try and line those up the best I can, and you can just eyeball it straight down and it'll turn out nicely. And do your other. Notice I'm blowing the wood chips away. That's make sure that this thing is standing up straight. Okay, so now I've got my 4 holes drilled and I'm ready to assemble it. Okay, so we're ready to assemble our drawer now, and what we need to do is we're going to have some pocket holes. Remember, you have the square tip driver. I like using this longer one. Seems to get a better angle. Make sure you're using inch-long screws. So I have it labeled on the jar, 1-inch pocket hole for drawers, and should be the not the fine toothed screws, but the wider ones. Make sure you do not use the 1 1/4 inch. That is for face frame only, because 1 1/4 inch fits the 3/4 inch material. This is 1/2 inch material, and if you use too long of a screw, it's going to go through and you'll have some damage to fix later. So grab 8 screws, take it to our clamping jig where we are going to put your front or bottom. If you have a preference, then situate it the way you want it. Clamp it down to hold it in place. And this is going to go over here, and we're going to clamp it into place. But first, we're going to put a little glue on the end. And sometimes what I like to do is, before I glue it all, as I'm getting ready, put a little bit of glue on this, on the edge grain. It seems to help seal those pores up a little bit, and as you're gluing the rest of it and screwing the rest of it, that'll all it'll end up getting a better bite when it glues together. So then come back and add just a touch more on that one that you're going to glue right now. You want to really line up your dados, make sure that they're in alignment. Look on the other side. So I know that's glued, that's lined up, so I'm going to go ahead and lock that into place. And I want to make sure that that's nice and flush over there. It looks good. Some important tips here. You want to make sure that you turn your drill bit down, your driver down to about 4, a speed of 4, especially with one of these newer drills that seem to have a little bit more power. Put it on 4, because if you go through there and you just keep turning it, it's going to tear out the wood and it's not going to have any more holding power. So take a couple screws, set them inside there where you want them to go. Just go ahead and real slowly and gently. I like to hold this in place in case it moves it. And I like just go down until you hit the bottom. You can feel it clamp. When it reaches that bottom, you can feel it. You just stop at that point in time. So you get that's on there nicely. I want to get my the front and back. And I'm going to repeat on this side here now. I'm going to put a little bit of glue on there. I've already put some on there, but it's already been soaked in by that end grain. Really line that dado up like you did before and screw it together. Okay, so I've got 3 of my 4 sides together now. And with my 3 of my 4 sides together, I don't want to put my 4th side in because I got to fit my bottom in there. So what you want to do at this point is you want to measure from here to here. Really, you're going to be measuring the width of this, the length of this board. Okay, so measure the length of that board and then take into account how deep your dados are. Your dados should be approximately 1/4 of an inch. So you're going to add a 1/2 inch and then you want a little bit of play. So subtract another 1/8 of an inch. I'm going to cut my MDF to a width of 8.5 and I'll come and dry fit it. And if when I'm putting it in there, if it starts pushing these out a little bit, then I know it's too small and I can go trim it to fit. And then I'll worry about the length after that.